You
At
assured me you'd
7-Eleven
stay
on a
within the
Friday
corridor.
morning, my
Look at this
tractor
damage.
dropped into a hole that
We're
should
within
not
the
have
legal
existed.
easement.
One
We broke
second I
ground
was
where we
driving
needed
between
to.
rows of pumpkins, the next, the front tire vanished. The whole tractor lurched forward so hard my chest hit the steering wheel. The bucket slammed down. Mud exploded up both sides. Beneath me, the ground made a hollow cracking sound, like a wooden floor breaking under a heavy boot. Then I
drove
smelled
right
gas.
over everything. The
Not
whole
strong
crop
at
is
first,
ruined.
just enough to make
How
the
could
back of my
anyone
throat
do
tighten.
this?
I killed the engine, climbed down shaking, and saw the front axle sitting inside a collapsed trench, running straight through my pumpkin field. The soil had opened like a wound. Orange pumpkins rolled into the split. Irrigation tape hung loose in the dirt. A line of yellow warning ribbon buried just below the surface had torn upward beside the tire, and 50 yards away, behind the fence, a pipeline contractor's white truck was parked on the service road. 6 weeks earlier, Mid-River Utility had hired a contractor to replace a natural gas line along the county right-of-way beside my farm.
According to the official
They promised
survey, the
work
boundary
would
line
stay
cuts
inside
right
the
through this
marked
section.
easement.
That
They
can't
promised
be right.
no equipment,
We've farmed
trenching,
this for
boring,
generations.
staging, or spoil piles
We planted
would
these
touch my
rows just
certified
before the pipeline
agritourism
work started.
field. My pumpkin patch
Hold
was
on.
not just pumpkins,
That
it was
ribbon
my
shouldn't
fall
be
business.
exposed like that.
Corn maze tickets,
See
school
where the
tours,
approved
hay
route ends
rides,
here.
pumpkin picking, a farm stand.
Now look at
a
the
cider
as-built
trailer,
drawing underneath.
3 October
It
weekends
deviates
that paid half my
significantly
annual
from the
bills.
permit.
And now,
We
2
checked the
weeks
permits.
before opening
This is
day,
all standard
my
procedure
tractor
based on
was
this
sitting in a
paperwork right here.
collapsed
Standard
trench.
procedure
My
doesn't
field
override
smelled
this
like
county
gas,
survey. You
and a
need to stop.
contractor supervisor was telling the fire department that I must have driven over an old farm drainage tile. Old farm drainage tile, that was his explanation. By noon, the fire marshal had closed the field until the gas risk could be cleared. By 2 o'clock, my insurance company froze the claim pending utility investigation. By sunset, I had canceled 2 school groups, refunded a corporate event, and watched parents message me asking if the pumpkin patch was safe. Then Mid-River attorney sent me a letter. They accused me of operating heavy farm equipment too close to a utility corridor. They said my unauthorized disturbance had exposed their line, delayed emergency repair, and damaged contractor equipment. They demanded $118,000 for response costs, schedule delay, and reputational harm. My field collapsed over their hidden trench. My tractor nearly rolled. My fall season was falling apart, and they wanted me to pay them. That was when fear turned into something sharp and quiet, because the contractor had made one mistake they did not know about. My corn maze drone footage had recorded their crew 3 weeks earlier. The drone showed their boring machine. It showed the spoil pile. It showed the trench line cutting under my pumpkin field. And later, the county surveyor would find something even worse. The permitted gas line corridor was 42 feet east of where they actually bored. The as-built map had been altered, and a deleted foreman text said, "Farmer won't notice until after harvest." 3 weeks after they blamed me, the County Utility Board suspended the contractor S permit. The State Pipeline Safety Office opened an investigation. Mid-River S insurer stepped in. And their $118,000 threat turned into a $428,000 settlement for crop loss, event cancellations, emergency soil stabilization, tractor damage, legal fees, safety testing, lost agritourism income, and full field restoration. But that morning, standing beside my sunken tractor with gas in the air and pumpkins split open in the mud, I only knew one thing. Someone had buried danger under my field, and when it finally collapsed, they were already preparing to blame the farmer. I did not grow up dreaming about pumpkins. I grew up dreaming about keeping the farm. My parents owned 71 acres outside a small town in northern Missouri. Corn, soybeans, a little hay, and whatever side work kept the property taxes paid. My father used to say our farm was too pretty to sell and too small to survive on grain alone. He was right on both counts. After he died, my mother tried renting the fields out for a few years, but the numbers never worked. The rent covered taxes and repairs, but not much else. By the time I took over, the farm was one bad season away from becoming a listing on a real estate website. I was 34 then with a husband, 2 kids, an aging barn, 1 tractor with more rust than paint, and a stubborn belief that the farm could still matter if we stopped trying to compete with 1,000-acre operations. So we changed the business. We planted pumpkins. Then we cut a small corn maze. Then we added hay rides, then a farm stand, then a cider trailer, then school tours. People laughed the first year, not cruelly, just the way rural people laugh when someone tries something that might fail in front of everyone. We sold out of pumpkins by Halloween. The second year, we added a weekend ticket booth. and borrowed picnic tables from the church. The third year, a local elementary school brought 5 buses. By year 5, Harvest Hollow Farm was not rich, but it was alive. Families came back every October. Kids took pictures on the same old red wagon. Teachers booked field trips before summer even ended. My husband Ben built wooden photo frames shaped like pumpkins. My daughter painted signs. My son ran around wearing a plastic sheriff badge and telling people where not to park. October became our whole year compressed into 3 weekends. If it rained, we lost money. If the pumpkins rotted, we lost money. If the maize flooded, we lost money. But if the weather held and families came, we could pay the land note, fix equipment, buy seed, and breathe through winter. That was why the county utility project worried me from the beginning. Mid-River Utility announced a gas line replacement along County Road 18 in early summer. The old line ran near the roadside outside my pumpkin field, inside a narrow recorded utility easement. The project was supposed to improve safety before winter. I did not object to that. Rural people understand utilities. Heat matters, gas service matters, roads matter, but location matters too. At the public notice meeting, I asked whether any boring, trenching, staging, or construction access would enter my agritourism field. The project manager, a man named Nolan Pierce, said no. He pointed to a map and said all work would remain within the right-of-way and existing utility easement. He said crop impacts were not expected. He said Mid-River respected local agricultural operations and would coordinate with landowners. Coordinate, that word sounds friendly until someone uses it to mean ignore. After the meeting, I emailed Nolan a map of my pumpkin acreage, the corn maze layout, irrigation lines, guest walking routes, parking field, and opening schedule. I told him the fall season began September 28, and that any disturbance near the pumpkin field could affect public safety, ticket sales, and school tours. He replied, "Thank you. We will make sure the contractor is aware of the agritourism operation." That email mattered later. At first, construction looked normal. Utility flags appeared along the road. Orange cones narrowed one lane. Trucks parked near the shoulder. A crew bored under the driveway entrance and replaced sections of line near the ditch. Then I noticed equipment farther west than the stakes. One evening, while checking irrigation, I saw a boring machine near the fence, beyond the marked utility corridor. I walked over and asked a worker if they were inside the easement. He said the route had been adjusted because of rock near the ditch. Adjusted, I asked, who approved the change. He said the foreman had it handled. I called Nolan. He did not answer. The next morning, a strip of my pumpkin field looked slightly raised, like someone had stitched the soil from underneath. It was subtle, too subtle to prove, a faint line through the rows. A few vines disturbed some dirt that did not match the cultivation pattern. Ben told me to document it, so I did pictures, dates, emails, drone footage from the corn maze promotion shoot. At the time, I thought I was being overly cautious. I did not know I was recording the evidence that would save my farm. The collapse happened 2 weeks before opening weekend. That timing still feels cruel. The pumpkins were nearly ready. The corn maze was cut and flagged. The cider trailer had passed health inspection. We had ordered wristbands, printed tickets, hired seasonal teenagers, scheduled school buses, and paid for ads we could not afford to waste. That Friday morning, I was moving straw bales to the photo area. The field had been damp from 2 days of rain, but not flooded. I knew that field. I knew where it held water, where the clay stayed soft, where the old tile lines ran, and where tractors should never sink. The spot that collapsed was not one of those places. I was halfway between the pumpkin rows when the tractor dropped. The front left tire punched through first, then the right side dipped. The bucket struck the ground, probably the only reason the tractor did not roll farther. I grabbed the wheel and slammed my boot onto the brake. For a second, I thought the whole machine was going over. Then the smell hit me. Gas. I got down fast and called 911 before I called Ben. The dispatcher told me to move away from the tractor and avoid starting anything electrical. I backed up through the pumpkin rows and watched the hole widen by inches. The trench line stretched under the vines in both directions. It was too straight to be natural, too fresh to be old drainage, too deep to be a gopher hole or a washout. Ben arrived first, then the volunteer fire department, then Mid-River, then the contractor. The fire marshal kept everyone back until Mid-River shut the line down and tested the air. A technician walked the field with a gas detector. Another crew marked the ground with paint. Within an hour, the place where families were supposed to take pumpkin photos, had become a utility emergency scene. That was when the contractor supervisor, Dale Haskins, walked up and started talking before anyone asked him a question. He said the line was inside the approved corridor. He said the collapse was probably caused by poor farm drainage. He said old agricultural tile could create voids underground. He said heavy tractor traffic over saturated soil was risky. I said there was a buried warning ribbon in my pumpkin row. He said warning tape can migrate and disturb soil. Migrate, like it had crawled 40 feet under my field by itself. I pointed to the straight trench line, he said. Fields settle. I pointed to the raised soil seam I had photographed weeks earlier. He said, farmers often misread construction boundaries. Then he said the sentence that told me exactly what kind of fight this would be. You people wanted the fall traffic. You can run a theme park on farmland and then blame utilities when the ground acts like farmland. Theme park. That was what he called the pumpkin patch that kept our farm alive. The fire marshal closed the affected portion of the field, pending safety clearance. My insurance adjuster said, the claim could not move until responsibility for the line location was determined. Our ticketing platform started processing refunds. Teachers asked whether buses should cancel. Parents asked whether there had been an explosion risk. One local Facebook post used the phrase gas leak at pumpkin patch before anyone had confirmed a leak. That phrase did more damage than rain. By evening, we had barricades around the field. A tractor stuck in a trench, pumpkins crushed in mud, and a voicemail from Nolan Pierce saying Mid-River would review the incident. Review, then the attorney letter came. It said Mid-River and its contractor denied wrongdoing. It said, my tractor had disturbed soil above a utility installation. It said I had failed to maintain safe operating conditions near a utility corridor. It said my public statements and event cancellations had increased reputational harm. It demanded $118,000 for emergency response, repair delay, contractor standby costs, and damages related to project interruption. I read it once, then again then. I took it outside and showed it to Ben under the pole barn light. He did not curse, he just said, pull the drone files. That was when I remembered the corn maze promo footage. 3 weeks earlier, my nephew had flown a drone over the farm to film the maze from above. He had captured the pumpkin field, the county road, the utility trucks, the boring machine, and the trenching path. At the time, we thought we were filming an advertisement. We had actually filmed a crime scene before the hole opened. The next morning, I turned the farm office into a war room. Not the loud kind, the paper kind. I printed my field map, the utility easement map, the county right-of-way map, the pumpkin planting chart, irrigation layout, ticket schedule, school tour contracts, health inspection record, ad invoices, drone screenshots, and every email I had sent to Mid-River. Then I opened my father's old drainage folder. He had kept tile maps for every field, drawn by hand, and updated whenever something was repaired. The collapsed spot was nowhere near an old tile line. The nearest drainage tile ran diagonally 80 yards south and emptied toward the creek. My father's notes were detailed enough to show repair dates, tile depth, and outlet locations. If Dale wanted to blame old farm drainage, he had picked the wrong farm. Ben pulled the drone footage onto the big monitor. From above, the story was obvious. The permitted easement line followed the county road. The boring machine did not. It sat inside my pumpkin field, angled away from the right-of-way. The spoil pile was on my side of the fence. A worker truck drove across the edge of my rows. The soil seam visible after construction lined up almost perfectly with the collapse. I saved the footage in 3 places. Then I called an attorney named Claire Whitcomb, who handled agricultural damage, utility easements, and construction disputes. She asked whether anyone had located the line yet. I said Mid-River had marked it after the collapse. She asked where the marks were relative to the easement. I said they were in my field. She told me not to let anyone repair or backfill without an independent survey. That became the first battle. Mid-River wanted to expose the pipe, repair the collapse, and restore service quickly. The fire marshal wanted the gas risk controlled. I understood both. But Claire said if they dug everything up before the line location was documented, the evidence would disappear into a repair report written by the same people denying fault. So she sent emergency preservation letters to Mid-River, the contractor, the boring subcontractor, the county utility board, the fire marshal, the insurance company, and the state pipeline safety office. She demanded construction plans. boring logs, GPS equipment data, as-built drawings, locator records, inspection reports, daily crew notes, foreman texts, trench photos, and communications about any route adjustment. She also requested an independent county surveyor on site before full repair excavation. Mid-River objected. Claire pushed back. The fire marshal finally agreed that the field could remain closed and monitored until the line was safely exposed with survey documentation. That afternoon, the county surveyor, a quiet man named Daniel Reese, arrived with GPS equipment and the expression of someone who preferred numbers to arguments. He marked the recorded utility easement. Then he marked the actual pipe location using Mid-River S emergency locates. Then he looked at the distance between them, 42 feet. The gas line was not slightly off. It was not a rounding error. It was 42 feet inside my pumpkin field. Daniel checked again. Then he checked the old county map. Then he checked the permit exhibit. Then he said the words that made my knees feel weak. This pipe is outside the approved corridor. Outside. Not near. Not maybe outside. The next day, the State Pipeline Safety Office sent an investigator. His name was Mark Ellison. He reviewed Daniel S. measurements, the fire marshal report, Mid-River's emergency locate, my drone footage, and the original permit route. He also asked for the as-built drawing Mid-River had filed after installation. That drawing showed the line inside the approved easement, but the pipe in the ground was 42 feet away. That meant one of two things. Either the as-built map was wrong by accident, or someone had drawn what should have been built instead of what they actually buried. Claire said both possibilities were bad. One was negligence, the other was fraud. Then Mid-River gave us their explanation. They said, the boring crew had encountered rock near the road and made a minor field adjustment to avoid damaging the county shoulder. Minor 42 feet under my pumpkin patch was apparently minor if you said it in utility language. But they still claimed I should have known not to drive farm equipment near a utility corridor. Claire answered with one sentence. There was no utility corridor where she was driving. That was when Mid-River stopped calling it poor farm drainage and started calling it a documentation discrepancy. The deleted text came from the boring subcontractor, not willingly. Their insurer requested internal communications after the State Pipeline Safety Office opened a formal review. Insurance companies dislike mystery almost as much as they dislike paying for it. And within a week, Claire received a document production that included foreman messages, equipment logs, and a file history for the as-built drawing. The first message was from the boring operator to Dale Haskins. Rock shelf along county shoulder. Need shift west or stop and redesign, Dale replied. Shift west, keep under crop edge. We'll clean it up after harvest under crop edge my field. Then the operator wrote, landowner map says pumpkin agritourism starts there. Dale answered, farmer want to notice until after harvest. I read that sentence in Claire's office with my hands flat on the table. Farmer want to notice until after harvest. That was not an accident, that was a plan. Then came the as-built file history. The original field sketch, uploaded by the subcontractor, showed the line drifting west into my field. Someone later replaced it with a clean CAD drawing, showing the pipe inside the permitted easement. The metadata showed the replacement file had been uploaded 2 days before Mid-River submitted project completion documents to the county. 2 days before they certified the work, the file name was almost too perfect. Final as-built corrected. Not accurate corrected. The state investigator compared the GPS boring log to Daniel S. survey. The boring machinist's internal path data matched the pipe location in my field, not the submitted as-built map. The warning ribbon found in the collapse was also consistent with the actual pipe path, not the permitted route. Then Claire found the permit condition everyone had ignored. Any deviation from the approved corridor exceeding 5 feet required written county approval. Landowner notice, updated easement documentation, and revised safety mapping. Before activation 5 feet, they had moved 42. They did not notify me. They did not obtain a new easement. They did not update safety mapping. They activated the line under a field where school children were scheduled to walk 2 weeks later. That part made the fire marshal angry. Quiet angry. The kind that does not need volume. Claire's demand letter changed after that. She accused Mid-River and its contractor of unauthorized utility installation, trespass, negligent construction, inaccurate as-built reporting, unsafe activation, interference with agricultural and agritourism operations, property damage, wrongful demand, and attempted concealment. She demanded immediate withdrawal of the $118,000 claim. Emergency stabilization, full pipe relocation into the approved corridor, independent safety testing, replacement of damaged irrigation, tractor repair, crop loss payment, event cancellation losses, lost ticket revenue, reputational damage, legal fees, and restoration of the pumpkin field under agronomic supervision. She also demanded written confirmation that no gas utility remained under guest areas outside approved easements. Mid-River's response came through a different attorney. That told me something. The new letter said, Mid-River was committed to safety and wanted to work toward a responsible resolution. Responsible resolution. That phrase usually appears when denial has run out of room. The County Utility Board scheduled an emergency hearing. The State Pipeline Safety Office issued a notice requiring Mid-River to provide corrected maps, pressure test results, boring logs, and a plan to remove or abandon the improperly placed section. The fire marshal kept the pumpkin field closed to the public. That hurt. Every day mattered. We were supposed to open the maze. Instead, we were explaining why part of the farm was barricaded with caution tape. People were kind, mostly, but kindness does not replace ticket revenue. We refunded school tours. We canceled the corporate event. We moved the farm stand closer to the barn. We opened a smaller hayride route, away from the field, but it felt like trying to host a wedding during a house fire. The pumpkins kept ripening in a field no one could enter. That was the cruelest part. They looked ready. They were not safe. The emergency hearing took place in the county building on a Wednesday evening. Farmers came, parents came, 2 school principals came. The fire marshal came in uniform. Mid-River came with attorneys, engineers, and a regional vice president who kept saying safety was their highest priority. I sat beside Claire with a folder full of pumpkin contracts and pictures of my tractor half buried in a field that should have been full of children by then. The County Utility Board began with the permit map. Then Daniel Reese, the surveyor, showed the actual pipe location. 2 lines appeared on the screen. The approved corridor near the road, the real line through my field 42 feet apart. Nobody needed a law degree to understand that picture. Then Mark Ellison from the State Pipeline Safety Office explained the activation issue. He said safety mapping depends on accurate location data. Emergency responders, landowners, excavators, and utility crews rely on as-built records. If a gas line is installed outside the approved corridor and mapped incorrectly, the risk is not just paperwork. It is people. Then Claire played the drone footage. The room watched the boring machine sitting inside my field. It watched the spoil pile near the pumpkin rows. It watched trucks crossing the crop edge. It watched the route no one had admitted existed until the ground collapsed. Then she read the text message. Farmer won notice until after harvest. The room changed after that. You could feel it. Before that sentence, some people saw a utility dispute. After it, they saw a cover-up. The fire marshal spoke last. He said, the field could not reopen for public agritourism until the unauthorized line was removed or properly abandoned. The soil was stabilized. Gas testing confirmed safe conditions. And independent documentation proved no other unmarked utility hazards existed in guest areas. Guest areas, that phrase mattered, because Mid-River had treated my field like empty farmland. But during October, it was not empty. It was where kids ran through rows, where parents pulled wagons, where teachers counted students, where grandparents took pictures, where people trusted me to know what was under the ground. The board voted unanimously. Mid-River had to shut down and relocate the improperly installed section into the approved corridor. The contractor's county permit was suspended pending review. All as-built documentation had to be corrected under third-party survey. The boring subcontractor was referred to the State Contractor Licensing Board. The State Pipeline Safety case remained open for enforcement, and the utility had to pay for independent soil stabilization, gas monitoring, and field restoration before any public use could resume. Their $118,000 demand disappeared the next morning. No apology, just a withdrawal letter saying Mid-River wished to focus on remediation and community trust. Community trust? They had buried a gas line under a pumpkin field and mapped it somewhere else. Trust was going to take more than a letter. The relocation work destroyed more of the field before it fixed anything. Crews had to excavate, expose, cut, cap, relocate, backfill, compact, test, and document. Pumpkins were crushed, irrigation lines were pulled out, soil structure was damaged, the maize route had to be changed, the main photo area was closed for the season. We opened late smaller, with half the field blocked off the first Saturday. I cried behind the cider trailer because families still came. Not enough to save the season, but enough to remind me why the farm mattered. The settlement took 5 months mid-river, and the contractor's insurers eventually agreed to pay $428,000. The largest part was not the crushed pumpkins themselves. It was lost agritourism revenue. Canceled school tours, refunded events, emergency safety work, pipe relocation impacts, field restoration, tractor damage, irrigation replacement, legal fees, survey costs, reputational harm, and the months of lost business while the farm operated under safety restrictions. That number did not include Mid-River's own losses, permit suspension, contractor review, state penalties, emergency relocation costs, bad press, engineering rework, or the damage caused by the phrase everyone remembered. Farmer won notice until after harvest. People noticed. Everybody noticed. The field did not heal quickly. A pumpkin field is not just dirt and vines. It is drainage, soil structure, irrigation timing, foot traffic, seed selection, compaction, weather, and hope planted months before anyone buys a ticket. The unauthorized trench left scars. Even after the pipe was relocated, the soil settled unevenly. Water pooled where it had never pooled before. We had to bring in an agronomist to rebuild the bed structure. We seeded cover crop over the damaged section. We replaced irrigation zones. We regraded the walking path. We paid for extra soil tests even after the utility said everything was safe. I did not trust their everything anymore. The next fall, we reopened the full pumpkin patch, not perfectly, but fully. The corn maze had a new design that year, a giant magnifying glass. Ben said it was too obvious. I said obvious was the point. Kids ran through the rows again. Parents pulled wagons again. Teachers brought buses again. My son, older now and far more serious with his plastic sheriff badge, stood near the entrance telling people to stay on marked paths. My daughter painted a new sign for the farm stand. Harvest Hollow Farm, open since we noticed. I kept the original in the office after the season ended. The county changed its utility permit rules after our case. Any underground utility work near registered agritourism operations now required direct landowner notice, documented route staking, pre-construction photos, post-construction third-party GPS verification, and updated emergency maps before activation. Mid-River sent a new community relations representative to apologize in person. Not Nolan, not Dale. Someone trained to say the right words. I accepted the apology because my mother raised me with manners. I did not confuse it with trust. The contractor lost county eligibility for a year. Dale Haskins no longer worked on Mid-River projects. The boring subcontractor faced licensing discipline. And every October, someone at the feed store would ask whether the gas company had found the road yet. Rural humor is slow, but it lasts. I framed 3 things in the farm office. The county survey showing the 42-foot deviation, the drone still with the boring machine in my field, and the text message, "Farmer won a notice until after harvest." Not because I wanted to stay angry, because that sentence reminded me what arrogance sounds like before it becomes evidence. So if a utility company, contractor, developer, or county project ever tells you the work will stay inside the easement, do not just nod because they have a hard hat and a map. Save the notice. Keep your field records. Photograph the stakes. Fly the drone if you legally can. Mark your irrigation. Keep your old tile maps. Ask for the as-built, and if the ground changes where it should not, document it before they call your damage poor drainage. If this story made you think of someone who needs to hear it, share it with them. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Save the video. And subscribe for more stories about ordinary people who learned that farmland is not empty land just because a contractor wants it to be. Because I did not beat Mid-River by yelling over their lawyers. I beat them by proving the line was never where they said it was. And the next time I drove the tractor through that field, I went slow. Not because I was afraid of the land, but because I had learned to be afraid of people who bury the truth and call it infrastructure.